In a salute to the grocery industry's best and brightest, the Iowa Grocery Industry Association recognizes Randy Edeker, Chairman, CEO, and President of Hy-Vee Incorporated, as the 2014 IGIA Retailer of the Year. Randy Edeker grew up in Sheraton, Iowa, with his mother and father, 3 sisters, and 2 brothers. Randy is the 5th in the family of 6 children.
Mom baked a lot. We had a really wholesome family life. We went to church every Sunday. We really literally had Mom's apple pie. I mean, Mom baked bread almost every day or every other day. All of us helped in the kitchen. Randy was just a part of that also, with coming to the kitchen and helping to put food on the table for a family of 8.
The family lived just down the street from Hy-Vee's corporate headquarters and warehouse.
I remembered Randy as the little boy in the yard, waving his arms, trying to get the Hy-Vee semis to honk at him.
It's interesting to know that Mr. Friedenberg used to walk by our front of our house. And so I remember being in the front yard and watching Mr. Friedenberg walk by in dress shoes and a suit. And, Randy and I would be out in the front yard playing. And so it's kind of ironic that here it is this many years later that he's in the same position that Mr. Friedenberg was.
Randy's work ethic, innovative spirit, and affinity for sales have their roots in this small-town Iowa upbringing.
He went to work with my dad. My dad was a John Deere mechanic, and so he would find things for the kids to do. And so one of those times Randy went was, it's like, well, here's the sink that we clean all the tractor parts in. You need to clean that. Randy took it upon himself to scrub until the sink shined so much that the farmers and the other coworkers was like, well, look at that sink. That's really, impressive how clean that sink is. And they just kind of raved about that kind of hard work that Randy put in to clean that sink. And I think that's really where Randy, as an elementary kid, figured out hard work pays off.
Randy's mother planted the seeds that would one day grow into Randy's love for sales and marketing.
He was always interested in sales, though, because when I was selling several different products, and he'd come through the house and he'd be real interested in my sales.
Randy's dad instilled discipline and the value of hard work.
Well, I used to do little jobs at home, like I'd paint tractors for farmers, and the kids would clean them up for me and get them all sanded down and all the grease cleaned off and everything and washed. And there were several of them home together, and they all worked together, and I was pretty strict, and they all did real well.
When Randy was in the 8th grade, his parents moved the family to North English. It was in this town of 1,500 that Randy's life started to crystallize.
We used to buy groceries at this little grocery store, and he got a job in that little grocery store in North English, and they really liked him. He really did good in there. That's where he got his start in the groceries.
Randy met Dawn, the love of his life, when he was just 15 at English Valleys High School.
Well, we actually went to high school together. Dawn and I were in the same class, little town in North English, Iowa.
We met our sophomore year in high school, and he was new to the community, and so I didn't really know who he was. But we did have a mutual friend who suggested that we get to know each other better.
So we started dating when she was 14 and I was 15, and we stayed together ever since.
High school graduation was drawing near when his brother-in-law, John Sipes, encouraged Randy to apply for a job and join him in working at the Hy-Vee store in Sheraton.
So during Randy's junior and senior in high school, he was kind of wondering what life would bring him, and he thought about going to college, becoming a coach. He really liked football, he liked business. At that time I was with Hy-Vee, and I suggested perhaps working for Hy-Vee and making a little money so he could pursue whatever he wanted to do.
We continued to date throughout high school, and then after high school, we both really wanted to go to the University of Iowa, but we knew financially that was not possible the first year after high school, but we wanted to be together. So we got married that following summer, and moved to Sheraton, Iowa, where he began his career with Hy-Vee.
It's been just the greatest thing ever that happened to me.
Being named president, chairman, and CEO of Hy-Vee was a great honor, and it's something that I guess starting out in his career, I don't know if it was something that he really was striving for when he was a part-timer in Sheraton. And I think back to those days, and he would come home all excited. I'd talk to Monty, I think I'm going to get to run the truck crew, or he'd come back and say, I talked to Monty again, I think I'm going to get to write the schedule. And so all these little steps along the way were just huge to him.
Randy flourished at Hy-Vee and realized he had found something he loved to do.
What attracted me to stay was that once I was in and working with customers every single day, I discovered that I like solving their problems. I like talking to people all day long. I like the fast-paced activity of the business and the fact that it was just different all the time. And you would help customers, you'd solve problems, you'd be there for them.
Randy says that he's been blessed with many mentors throughout his career, and without their help, he wouldn't be where he is today. One of those early mentors was Monty Weiss.
I first met Randy at the Sheraton store. It was in the spring of 1981. Randy was one of those dream employees that he took initiative, he worked hard, he really cared about fellow employees and customers, and he was really just a natural leader.
It didn't take long for Randy to make a positive impression at each new position as he quickly progressed through the ranks at Hy-Vee.
Worked at the Sheraton store for about a year and a half, and then transferred to Lincoln, Nebraska, which was a brand new market that we were opening up. And so Dawn and I both transferred to Lincoln to open new stores there and worked through several different positions in the Lincoln market.
We both went to Lincoln number 2 back in 1983, and we worked together there. And Randy was the assistant night stock manager. So he worked overnights with a crew, stocking the shelves, and I was the first assistant manager. But it was on New Year's Eve, December 31st, 1983, and there was a store next to us that was vacant, which had been a very cold winter, and their pipes froze next door. So I got a call about 11:30 from Randy, and I was home, and said, we have a flood coming in our store from the neighboring store because all their big sprinkler pipes had frozen. I said, I'll be right there, but Randy took the initiative. He'd already started calling in everybody he could to get him in there, calling the other store across town to get all their rug doctors, shop vacs, and he just took charge of it. By the time I got there, we had a small army. That was really my first instance of seeing Randy just really take charge. He's just natural at it, and that was the first time I remember him doing that.
Randy left Sheraton for Lincoln, Nebraska, where he and Dawn became parents for the first time with the birth of daughter Emily. He relished the role of new dad as he continued to work his way up the ranks at several different stores in Iowa and Illinois, moving frequently. The family of 3 settled in Kirksville, Missouri, where Dawn gave birth to Hillary in 1988, and the family grew to 4. In 1993, the family made the move they'd been hoping for as Randy headed to Columbus, Nebraska to be a store director, and his career skyrocketed.
Once I was in the company and I understood how it worked and where the great jobs were, I wanted to be a Hy-Vee store director, and that was my goal. That was the objective that I was focused on for the first part of my career, was to become a Hy-Vee store director, because that's the greatest job in our whole company, is to run one of our stores, because of the autonomy that we give, the way that we run the store, the ability to make decisions and affect people's lives on the front lines and really help them and be there. That's the greatest job in the world. And so once I achieved that, I did okay at it, and then the rest of the positions just kind of came along one by one.
Randy had captured the attention of CEO Ron Pearson, and after only 18 months, entered the world of Hy-Vee Corporate as a director of operations.
It became very obvious to myself and to Rick Juergens that we worked close with, that Randy would be one of the next top officers of Hy-Vee, and thus we put him in that position of president of the company, which he continued to just expand the retail and look at new things and better ways for we could do things, but always remembering that the customer is the only reason we're in business.
His performance in the face of each new challenge was impressive as Randy continued to be promoted and began working closely with recently elected CEO Rick Juergens.
He's a very thoughtful person, a great listener, somebody who is a big thinker, and sometimes a look that can appear stern is actually a look of thought. He's been provoked into thought, and his mind is going 80 miles an hour, and he can really get a lot done in those few seconds because he's a smart guy.
In 2009, Juergens began preparing Randy for a seamless succession to CEO.
Randy has been a marketing genius for Hy-Vee. And when you think of all the things that we've been able to do in creating a strong brand over the last 10 years or so, he's had his fingers on them. When Randy was in marketing, it became very clear that he was a person who could create vision, who could see into the future, and then make things happen.
I love what I do. I love Hy-Vee.
Randy's wife, Dawn, has been by his side every step of the way. The two have been married 33 years and believe in putting family first.
I tell you, when it comes to my daughters, I just melt. My oldest daughter, Emily, wanted to come listen to me speak. So we were downtown Hy-Vee Hall, and I had over 1,000 people in the room. And I'm up giving this great talk about how we're going to change the world with our market grills and market cafes. And she was expecting, and I could look back in the arena, and it was dark, and the door opened, and I could see her silhouette. And I thought, I am gonna cry on the stage in front of everybody.
Emily is married to Casey, and they have Ireland, 3, and Xavier, 1.
I was a freshman in college. It was my first volleyball preseason, and it's kind of a hard transition going from senior captain in high school to the lowest man on the totem pole in college. So my confidence was really shaken. He showed up with a box of some things, and it was, one was a mirror to remind me that I was the same person and the same player. And then along with it was a tape measure and the movie Hoosiers. And I hadn't seen the movie Hoosiers yet, and so I popped it in and watched it. And when I got to that part, it was like tears coming down, like just showing me that it was the same sport and I was the same person. There was really no reason to be that shaken, and so it was really encouraging. And he was never driven by success or power or money. That was not his passion. His passion was doing his best in order to provide for us the best he could.
Hillary is married to Clinton, and they have Caius, 2, and 1 on the way.
At home when we were growing up, he was always loving and supportive, and no matter if it was helping us with a science project or going to our sporting events, he always let us know that we were important to him, that we were special.
But he does have a wonderful way of communicating with the girls, even to this day.
Randy relishes his role as grandpa.
He will really just focus on them. If Ireland wants to go watch Frozen, he's all about it. Let's make some popcorn and go watch Frozen. If Caius wants to play trains, he's down there playing Thomas the Train with Caius. If the kids want to go swimming, he's out in the pool with the kids. And so he really will check out for the kids and the family. He kind of puts everything aside, which I think is difficult. It's difficult for me, and I'm not running a company.
Randy is a model of community involvement. One of many of his endeavors is his work with Character Counts.
He's just an amazing person of character. Randy's contributions to Character Counts in Iowa are really probably no different than his contributions to other causes that he believes passionately about, including Hy-Vee. And that is, Randy helps you think bigger than yourself and to stretch yourself, not only as an individual, but as an organization. So one of the great activities and events that Hy-Vee does is Exercise Your Character Day. Around 8,000 4th and 5th graders show up. And store directors to Hy-Vee employees come from across the region to help volunteer for this event, where students exercise, do healthy activity, and they hear from really prominent people about character and the significance of character. So last year it was Coach Ferentz and Coach Rhodes, as well as Casey Blake were there. Sean Johnson spoke into the group before, and this was a vision of Randy's.
Finally got a chance to be in a business environment with Randy several months ago, and I really got to see the passion that he has for Hy-Vee and the passion for the people that he works with, the teamwork that's involved. It was very, very impressive, and it just makes me glad that he did not choose coaching as a profession, because I probably would have been out of work the last 15 years.
Through Hy-Vee's participation in Iowa communities, Randy is making a difference to the state.
Hy-Vee is constantly improving and looking at ways it can better provide for the needs of its customers and communities, and that makes Hy-Vee just a great corporate citizen of Iowa. And Randy is a great leader who listens to his people and certainly knows the needs of his customers, and Hy-Vee meets their needs and does it in a very, very good way.
When it comes to being a leader at home, at work, or in the community, Randy is a natural.
His employees really enjoyed working with Randy. You heard that come through all the time. They just thought he was a great individual, a great leader, and it was fun and exciting, and they were building something, and they're building a future.
What makes Randy a great leader, I think, his dedication to Hy-Vee, to our 75,000 employees. He's always thinking about the employees first. He's a great example for Hy-Vee and the industry.
You look at things like our Marketplace Grill or the new delis and the amazing things we're doing with our store design, and combine that with all of the marketing and advertising we've done, from our corporate ads to our television to the various things that are out there creating excitement around Hy-Vee. He's been the guy that's driven it all.
He's a true entrepreneur. I mean, he's out there looking for new business opportunities. When he said something, he meant it. I mean, if he said he was going to do something, you could be assured that they were going to do that. And I'm sure it doesn't stop with the Fuel Rewards program. I think it goes well beyond that.
One of the words that describe Randy is humble. And if you know him very well at all, you'll see that immediately. And one of his strengths, I think, is seeing potential in people and helping them find their gifts and bringing them along.
Oh, I knew he was the perfect person to lead Hy-Vee into the future.
I think he was always striving for the next level, whether he realized it or not.
One of the things he always says when someone says to him, "It can't be done," he challenges you back and says, "But what if we could? What if we could do that?" And that's the kind of leader he is, continually challenging his teams and those around him to drive to do better than they could on their own.
Randy's progressive thinking and innovative spirit make him the perfect choice for this year's Retailer of the Year award.
Oh, we're really proud of that, because he's worked really hard.
I'm really proud of him for receiving the award. I'm always really proud of him. I think he does a great job.
That's one of the greatest things that could happen to a person that's in that kind of work.
Randy receiving this award is very well deserved. I mean, Randy's been very successful everywhere he's been in Hy-Vee.
Randy was always a great leader, even working at the store level in fairly low positions.
He's received many honors through his career, but to be able to honor a man with his character is just outstanding. I congratulate him, and I'm just proud and honored to be able to call Randy my friend.